everyone, how's it going? Today I want to talk a little bit about there's a belief going around now, and I hear it occasionally, and I think I know where it came from. But beliefs have a way of getting taken out of context and then applied to every situation, and I find it to be incorrect a lot of the time. So the belief is that horses don't like to be pat, and I've been hearing that a fair amount lately. Don't pat your horse, pet your horse. And the truth is that I've noticed some horses like to be pat. Some horses don't like to be pat. Some horses like to be scratched. Some horses don't like to be scratched. Some horses like to be not touched. Some horses do better with verbal, good boy, good girl. Okay? Some horses like your singing and dancing, and some horses don't. Georgia. And I joke about it, right? You guys might have heard me say, Georgia doesn't like my singing and dancing. I'm not really joking. Chester does. He loves it. Okay? But Georgia is a very serious horse. Okay? And so a lot of the times, I am doing things to make sure that I'm not serious. Could you imagine two serious animals, beings together? It's like you have to take it easy sometimes. Georgia is far end of the spectrum on serious. Everything to her is like a task. Do it well. When you're done, leave me alone. Okay? So imagine if I was like that. We would be, we'd be unstoppable. But her intensity and stress would go through the roof. Okay? So I do a lot of things just to loosen her up, just to keep it light. Don't take things so seriously. Okay? And I'll tell you a story about that. So she's very work oriented, just doesn't want to. She's a Venezuelan Criollo. Okay? And that's one of their traits, is they like to work hard and then be left alone. It's like, I think it said something like, work them hard, throw them out. None of the pampering stuff, which is very much her personality. Okay? So I try to keep things light. I try not to, have my voice too high, or, I'm never aggressive with her because she's so incredibly sensitive that, it would just send her through the roof kind of. So I'm very relaxed and quiet and da-da-da-da-da. I'm a very relaxed person in general. Okay, I don't get worked up too much. So we were out on a trail ride up at a mountain called Taylor Mountain. And she is such a good trail horse, you guys. She's so good. So good. And so we're just cruising along, and we ran across some people that had their dogs off leash, which is fine when you're riding horses, obviously. But their dogs weren't very well behaved, and that irritates me. And they didn't call them back, and they really didn't seem to care about other people. So that irritated me. And then we kept going, and we were going up this Taylor Mountain Trail, and it was just straight up gravel. Straight up a mountain gravel road. I was like, this is not fun. I'm not enjoying this. Okay, I like a trail. I like to, climb, and then, not super fun. So I was kind of getting irritated there. And then I was with my friend who was riding an Arabian, who was a little he's a good horse, but I wouldn't really trust him all that much. So, and he doesn't do well with dogs. He does okay, but again, you couldn't trust him. So, and then she gets nervous, one of those deals, okay? So we're going along, and this giant white German Shepherd comes running around the corner full speed, quite a bit in front of us. And I'm like, Georgia doesn't really care about dogs, but obviously it got her attention. And so I was just looking at it, and I kind of yelled out, and I was like, call your dog. And the person didn't pop around the corner for 15 to 20 seconds later. Like, that dog was so far out ahead of them, it was crazy. And then it kind of like circled our horses and then circled behind my friend's Arabian, and my friend was getting all nervous, and then her horse was kind of like looking around, and I was like, call your dog. And so she like calls him back, and then she comes by us and doesn't really say anything. She was just kind of rude, and I was so irritated. I was just like, oh my gosh. And so we were on our way back down the trail, and I was calling out to my friends. I was like, what's up with all the dogs? Why are there so many dogs out on the trail that people don't have any control of? This is so annoying. Da-da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da-da. And I started getting like kind of worked up. And I started getting kind of pissed. And I was like, you know, this trail ride, da-da-da-da-da. And I was just ka-ka-ka-ka-ka-ka-ka. And then I stopped talking for a little bit, and I looked down, and Georgia was going, and she was like mad. She was mad, okay? So, she was completely feeding off of my energy. And I was like, I was listening to her as we were going down the trail, and I was like, okay, Georgia, all right, I'm sorry. I might have done that to you. Okay. No, we're fine. Don't worry. It's all good. And I called out to my friend. I'm like, listen to Georgia. She's mad. And so I goes like, she was totally feeding off of my energy. So I do things with her. That was a long story. I thought it was a funny one, so you might have enjoyed it. But that was an example of she feeds off my energy. So I do things to keep it light. Okay. So with her, she likes to hear good girl. And it's funny because she gets that same energy where she's like really, you know, bound up. And she's always worried about doing a good job. Like, she's like, we got to nail this. We got to do a good job. So anytime I'm going along and I say, good girl, she literally breathes out and drops her shoulders a little bit. I was like, good girl. Yeah, you got it. Good girl. Okay. Some lady put a comment in one of my videos saying that I disrespected the horse as a being by calling him a good boy. And I was just like, get out of here. Get lost. Okay. Another one of those things that I swear it's said in one situation and then people take off with it. Anyways, back to the subject. Horses, some horses like to be pat. Okay, I pat Valentino, that stallion, Frisian stallion I work on. He likes to be pat. Okay, I was just working with Chester. If Chester is upset, it's better to not touch him. And I was just talking to my trainer about it today. Don't touch him. Don't scratch him. Don't pat him. Don't touch him. Don't talk to him. Let him handle himself, and then join back up with him. Okay? Some horses would prefer you don't pat them. Listen, if you have a thoroughbreds like percussion, so they probably like to be pat. Okay? Learn what your horse likes. If you don't know how, I have an ebook that talks about how to read cues that they give called Understanding Equine Body Language. I have a video called How Horses Communicate, and my online clinic completely covers it. So feel free to check that out also. All right, there's my plugs. But I think that this saying, so the other day, I'm going to tell you the opposite, probably about where this saying came from. I was watching a video, and this guy was in a competition, and he had just finished his competition, and he did well, okay? And what did he do? He lifted his arm up, and he whacked his horse. And I was like, oh, well, that's what, don't do that. That's not enjoyable. And the thing is, where that came from was adrenaline. Okay? That was adrenaline on his side. And he was excited. I've also seen, I think it was like an Olympic rider, a jumper. He just went through the course and did really well, right? You have adrenaline going when you're doing equine sports, right? And so the adrenaline was up and he whacked his horse. Okay? The horse didn't like that. And that was a whole little uproar thing. So if that's where that idea comes that horses don't like pats, I agree. That's not a pat though. That's a haul off and wail on them. That's what that is. And yeah, horses aren't going to like that. That's not going to be a reward for them. But don't say don't pat your horse. What if the horse likes pats and doesn't like scratches? What about that? What if light pressure irritates the horse? Ooh. Okay, learn whatever horse you're working on. Don't make these broad statements and apply them to every horse on the planet, because some horses like to be pat. I know multiple clients that enjoy a pat. All right? It's just like, think about people and personal touch, okay? You have some people that like just even in massage, deep massage, light massage. They would prefer, pressure points. Some people want to be ground into the table, okay? So horses have the same predisposition to what they like, okay? Some people like percussion for their massage. Some people want everything to be like effleurage. So it's very similar. I do not subscribe to the idea that horses don't pat your horse. I don't believe that is a good representation of where that saying actually came from, okay? I think that someone saw someone whacking their horse because they were hopped up on adrenaline or something like that. You see it a lot in performance stuff. And, they go, oh, horses don't like that. It's like, yeah, they don't like that, but don't say don't pat your horse, okay? Anyways, there's my soapbox. I hope that makes sense. Let me know if your horse likes pats, scratches, kisses, songs, dances, okay? What do they like? Tell me. I'd love to hear. Talk to you guys later. Bye.